I'm always trying to help you get good with girls, but you never really knew how I did it. I've never told this story, and since you're on your path to getting better, I know that sharing my journey is gonna help you along the way. So that's what I'm gonna do in this video. You're gonna learn all the steps I took along the way to go from a shy guy who didn't know how to talk to girls to a Casanova.
She want a piece? Tell her get in line. Call me coin star, the way I'm getting dimes.
And at the end, I'm gonna share with you the biggest lesson I've learned through it all that has helped me to completely change my life. And I think it can change yours too. So stay tuned for that, and let's get into it. So growing up, I was always a shy kid. When I was in middle school and high school, I had some acne problems, which really affected my confidence as a man. And that made me feel like I just wasn't the type of guy who could get hot girls. I got a little more social by the time I got to college, but I still wasn't anywhere close to where I wanted to be. Matter of fact, an entire sorority of girls in college knew me as the creepy guy when I was a freshman, just to give you an idea of how bad it was. So yeah, that's where I came from. Now let's look at the journey. So let's flash forward to my early 20s when I took the first step to improving, and that was to open my mind. See, if you want to get good with girls, you first gotta believe it's possible. So many guys never get to this step because they're constantly told that they can't get the girls they want. They have to settle for their lot in life. But I was like, I ain't a motherfucking pilgrim. I ain't about to settle. I was tired of being jealous of the cool guys who got the hot girls. I wanted to be that cool dude making it happen. So eventually I took to Google and was like, yo, how do I get girls? That's when I stumbled upon stuff like Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo and The Game by Neil Strauss. I went through that book and some of David D'Angelo's material, and although maybe it was a little weird, it opened my mind to the fact that it actually is possible to improve your success with girls. It's not this foreign thing. Once I realized it was possible, I was like, yo, I gotta do this. I don't have a choice. At some point, I looked in the mirror and realized, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. I need to ask for help. I knew I needed to surround myself with dudes who knew this stuff well and could give me help and feedback. See, most guys are petrified to ask for help with their dating lives because it's too much of an ego thing. They can't admit to themselves that they need help because it makes them feel like they're less of a man. But I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't gonna let my ego stop me from getting the girls I want. See, I was living in Cranston, Rhode Island at the time with my parents, which is the smallest state in the country and doesn't really have great nightlife. But one night, my dad had a comedy show at this comedy club in Boston, and he invited me up to go with him. So I was like, all right, screw it, let's go. I had just graduated college, and I was like, all right, this could be fun. So we hit the comedy show in downtown Boston. It's a great time.
This girl's laughing. You the one with that crazy laugh? Is it you? Why do you touch your breast when you look at me? I go like this when I look at you.
And then afterwards, my dad's like, yo, you wanna go to a club and celebrate? So we hit the club with my dad as the wingman, and of course I get to talking to a sexy older girl. She was like 27, I was like 21 at the time. So I was like, yo, I'm the man. I'm sitting there making out with her. My dad's just laughing. It's a hilarious moment. After that, I realized, yo, I need to start going to Boston every single weekend and going out. That's the only way I'm truly gonna get better. So I hit Google once again and I searched for a group of guys in Boston that were, hopefully interested in self-improvement that I could meet up with and maybe go out with. It didn't take long before I found a group like that, and about 2 weeks later, I went to Boston for a meetup. So I think about like 10 or 12 guys showed up. They were all pretty good with girls, pretty experienced, and we went out and hit the bars. I learned a bunch from these guys that night, and I also realized that, hey, I now have a big social group of guys to go out with in this big new city. And I knew this was gonna be the key for me to make exponential progress. And by the way, if you're liking this video, then make sure to subscribe and smash the notification bell, because I'm back to putting out new videos every Tuesday and every Friday to help you get the girls you want and fulfill your potential as a man. The next thing I did was I made the commitment to achieve success. I knew that just going out a few times wasn't gonna change me much. So every weekend, I'd be driving up to Boston, hanging out with this group of guys, and learning something new. I slept on random couches. Sometimes I drove home at like 5 a.m. I did whatever I needed to do to make it happen. The great part about it is we all helped each other to level up. I also learned to listen to feedback. Basically, I tried to be as coachable as possible and not get defensive about things, but instead listen to people when they try to point out things that might be blind spots for me. Like, I remember one time my friend took me aside and was like, yo, my friends think you're an asshole because you did like this, this, and this. And I was like, oh shit. I could have gotten defensive about it and be like, no bro, like fuck them. But instead, I took what he said to heart and really tried to change those things, and now less people think I'm an asshole. Just remember, getting defensive doesn't help. Try to be as open as possible to good feedback, even if it's something you might not want to hear. Because remember, if they're giving you that good feedback, they're probably gonna be a good friend too. But yeah, as I kept learning and improving, getting better, I started hooking up with a new girl almost every time I went out, and I was really having a lot of success. But then I started to fall hard for a few girls. See, as I met more and more girls, a few came along that really stood out and really sort of captured my attention and won over my heart. But I got a bit of one-itis and really tried hard to make it work with these girls, because I was like, yo, I've met all these girls over the past few years and none of them really have stood out, and now these girls are standing out. They seem special. I gotta do everything I can to keep them around. Now, of course, because I built these relationships up so much in my mind, I ended up scaring them away. That's when I realized that picking up girls is a lot different than keeping them around, and I still had a lot to learn. Right around that time is when I started traveling. I moved out to Vietnam and began kind of this 4-year journey of living around the world. Throughout all that, I realized that women are different all over the world, but they still mostly respond to the same good fundamentals. I also learned that there are beautiful and cool girls everywhere, so I needed to avoid falling into the trap of thinking any one girl was better than every single other one. This was key because it helped me to stop falling so hard for girls and instead really just enjoy my time with them and kind of go with the flow, which led to them sticking around for longer and the relationship to be just a lot happier overall. For a long time, I identified myself with the quality of girls I could attract. If I could attract really hot girls, I was cool. And if I went through a dry spell, I was all fucked up. This was dangerous because it led me down a path of seeking external validation, which is never good for your happiness. But I realized though that it's a lot more important to find girls that make me happy rather than girls who I just think are hot but don't really have much substance to them. This was a huge turning point for me. It made me realize that I could kind of own my own dating life and it didn't matter what anyone else thought about it. And it was also the building block for having the relationship I do now, which has been great. So what was the end result of all this? What was the big lesson? I realized it was about more than just picking up girls. It was about seizing control of your life as a man and directing it in the way that you see fit. See, this world will try to tell you what kind of man you should be. It'll try to tell you what you can and what you can't get. But when you say, hey, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get the hot girl at the bar. I'm gonna get the hot girl on the street. You cut through the bullshit and you realize what is truly possible. That's why I quit my job and started an online business and started traveling the world. I couldn't take someone telling me what I had to do and where I had to be. I wanted to take control. That's why I make these videos. Yeah, it's nice to help you improve with girls, but what I know deeper down is that this stuff can help you change your life the same way it changed mine. It can help you look past your limits and become the man you always knew you could be. So yeah guys, that's what I'm about. I hope this all makes sense. I hope you can take some big lessons from my journey and apply it to yours. and speed up your process. Whew, I got fired up there. But if you like the video, make sure to drop a comment and let me know. It really helps a lot. Anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.